Okay, 6 o'clock, calling meeting to order. All board members are present.
Yeah.
Any comments from the public? No? Okay, let's adjourn to closed session. Okay, let's get the show on the road. Call this meeting to order. We have all board members present. Our student reps tonight are, let's see, Mr. Prado, right? Prado. And Sasha Ahmad. Pretty close. We're missing Lucas.
He unfortunately went to the Bear Creek location, so he's on his way, but he's going to be a little bit late. Yeah.
We'll make fun of him when he comes in.
Yeah.
Is that awkward moment where I'm looking at the board?
Okay. Okay. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, in closed session, we have some personnel matters. Mr. Nava motion, Ms. McFarland second, and the board approved the appointment of David Horton as associate superintendent, effective for the 24-25 school year by a vote of 7 yes, 0 no's. Dr. Ball motion, Ms. Alexander second, and the board approved the appointment of Eugene Christmas as a continuation high school principal effective for the 24-25 school year by the following vote of 7 ayes, 0 no. Conference with legal counsel for existing litigation OAH 202-402-0317. Mr. Nava motion, Mr. Stroh second, and the board approved by the following vote of 7 yes and 0 no's. For anticipated litigation claim number 634754, Mrs. Alexander motion, Mr. Nava second, and the board rejected the claim with 7 ayes and 0 no's. Existing litigation case, GS versus Lodi, Mr. Nava motion, Dr. Ball second, and the board approved the case by 6 yes and 1 abstention, Mr. Porter. And that takes care of closed session. Now that's public. Okay, personnel. Okay, tonight we got a lot of recognitions and kind of happy time. So first of all, we have the 2024 Student Academic Board recognitions, Mr. Dawson and Mr. Lambert. You want to wait until, I guess, both of you at the same time?
Okay, thank you, President Connexa, members of the board, Superintendent Young. We have a lot of recognitions tonight. I want to start off by introducing Mr. Matt Harris, who's the principal of Elkhorn, who's going to be making our first presentations.
Mr. Dawson, before he comes up, we do have a short video we would love to show of all the great things that have been going on with our students. So with that, Michael, take it away. While certainly there are far more of our amazing students, it's just a sample size of everything we have going on. So with that, Mr. Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Young. President Knackstead, members of the board, Superintendent Young, I come to you representing the gate department. With me is Dr. Adrian Go-Miller, our esteemed gate instructional coach. We are here this evening to recognize participants and coaches from 2 academic competitions sponsored by the gate department. The first is most likely very familiar to you, the 14th annual district math tournament. This year we have 111 students representing 12 schools and a total of 22 teams. I would like to first thank the PICOs, the people in charge of Olympiads, for all of their hard work in preparing their Olympians for the competition. This evening we will be recognizing the top 3 team finishers with their PICO and the top 3 individual finishers and their PICO. Please welcome PICO Kim Nickel and Principal Julie Vass to the podium to introduce the 3rd place team, Reese Blue.
Okay, representing Reese Blue, we had Abe Howland, who was unable to be here tonight, Miss Carly Stroud, Mr. Jake Blue, Miss Mia Lundgren, and Miss Vicky Stroud.
If you would all face that direction so a picture could be taken of you, you have friends and family here who of course want to get your amazing pictures.
Please welcome PICO Lindsay Vacareza and Principal Eric Collins, if he's in the building, to the podium to introduce the 2nd place team, Larson.
Very proud to announce the Larson Elementary Math Olympiad team, Lily Zhu, Jabran Hassan, Gwendolyn Sell, Noble Anugara, and Carson Gregory. This is Javon. And this is Lily. And this one.
All right, once again, if you guys could turn and face your families, don't leave yet. We want to get a picture. Thank you, family, for coming. All right, thank you. You can continue.
And please welcome PICO Julie Wallace to the podium to introduce the 1st place team, Manlio Silva Purple.
Okay, good evening. This is our team. We have Caden Huang, Juliana Lau, Lucas Rivera, Zion Guevara, and unable to come this evening, Roseanne Raposis.
Mrs. Wallace, would you please take a picture so that with your with your crew. All right, thank you, everyone.
And moving on to the individual awards, in third place, Lily Zhu from Larson with Pico Lindsay Vacareza. Second place individual winner from Vinewood Red, Silas Tomek with Pico Stephanie Pilcher. Right over there to your right.
Take a picture of your dad. There you go, ahead, stand up there. No,
President Knaxton, members of the board, Superintendent Young, you have met this young man twice before. He is the three-time back-to-back-to-back champion, only in 5th grade, from Manlio Silva Purple, Caden Wong with Pico Green Wall. Look for pics, bud. The next competition we will be recognizing is brand new to Lodi Unified. Earlier this year, longtime Lodi Unified parent Mrs. Hardeth Dillon came to me with information she received as a faculty member at Modesto Junior College regarding the Invention Convention. The Invention Convention is a national competition sponsored by Lemelson MIT that teaches students problem identification, problem solving, entrepreneurship, and creativity skills and builds confidence in invention, innovation, and entrepreneurship for life. Dr. Go Miller and I thought this would be a perfect fit for the Gate Department to sponsor. A few teachers participated at site level, but Mrs. Jackie Fry, 5th grade teacher from John Muir, took this opportunity to the next level. She had her entire class complete at the site level. This competition was judged by members of the Gate Department, past and present, the Professional Development Department, Dr. Solly, and retired teachers. 9 of these students moved on to the regional competition at Modesto Junior College. 8 of those students moved on to the Northern and Central California competition in Sacramento. At that competition, 2 received special awards and will be recognized tonight, and 3 have qualified for the national competition in Dearborn, Michigan. The students moving on to the national competition are currently fundraising for travel expenses to the national competition. Please contact Mrs. Fry if you or someone you know may want to assist these inventors. Please welcome Jackie Fry and Principal Michelle Brown to the podium to recognize their students.
Thank you. Okay, our first inventor is Eli Owen with his EcoSaver.
You can stick around, don't leave yet.
And then we have Connor Madiag with the Extendo. And then our 3 inventors that are moving on to the national convention are Amira Momand with her Wrap and Write. Netta Sabanchi with Happy Hands. And Taylor Sehun with the Plant Helper.
Let's make sure we get pictures of everyone. Next year, we're gonna have Shark Tank, so we can start bidding on their inventions.
The Sharks will be at Michigan, so the
Awesome.
girls will get to meet them.
That's awesome, guys. All right, thank you, everyone.
Ms. Hara from Middle College High School is unable to be here tonight, so I would like to recognize the academic decathlon team as well as the individual winners from Middle College High School. If your name's heard, please come up. Aubrey Gassman-Bonak, Sierra Willis, Jada Gao, Julia Yang, Michaela Reyes, Mylan Tran, Omid Izadi, and Paulina Munoz. And the individual winners to be recognized, Mylan Tran, Michaela Reyes, Julia Yang, and Jada Gao. Thank you very much.
All right, you're free to go.
And now I would like to bring up Miss Araceli Ramirez to recognize McNair's Mesa team.
Hello, you guys. I'm Araceli Ramirez, and I'm a math teacher at McNair High School and advisor to the Mesa Club, Math, Engineering, Science Achievement Club. This year we had a really amazing year. A lot of winners, and which is a nice thing because our club, we're a club, not a class. And so we meet once a week. And these guys do everything for me. And this is their win. So, for the third place Mesa Machine, Clarence Stafala, 12th grade. Second place Mesa Machine, Jacob Vargas. Okay, Jacob Marquez, 11th grade. Terry Yang, 11th grade. And for first place Mesa Machine, Fanny Wang, 12th grade. And Nishpreet Shergill, 12th grade. For innovative design, Clarence, please come back over here, and Jefferson. Clarence Stafala, 12th grade, and Jefferson Hoot, 12th grade.
Can you face that direction so that families can take pictures? No hiding in back of anyone.
All right. Mesa Coding Solutions, the novice category. For third place, Elijah Lowe, 12th grade. Feet, 12th grade. For second place, Sopek Cham, 12th grade. Victor Bain, 12th grade. And for first place, Alan Vang, 11th grade. All right, for the Mesa Coding Solutions Experience category, second place, Billy Nguyen, 12th grade. And Suriel Pimentel, 12th grade. For the Mesa Think Tank, first place, Danny Nguyen, 12th grade. And Niran Doogie, 12th grade. For the Mesa Engineering Design Challenge, third place, Brian Tao, 12th grade. And Quentin Pham, 11th grade. For second place, Mesa Engineering Design Challenge, Andres Nieto, 12th grade. Billy Nguyen, 12th grade. And Basal Ross, 12th grade. Thank you.
Now we're honored to have our Science Bowl winners come up, and I'd like to invite Mr. and Mrs. Heberly to come up and introduce our Science Bowl winners.
Make sure they said Mr. Coverland.
I'm just a helper.
Can never let them be too far away. Well, as we're waiting for them to come in, I'll tell you a little bit about Science Bowl because I have a couple of minutes, or seconds. Science Bowl is an academic competition put on by the U.S. Department of Energy, and in it has several categories: math, biology, chemistry, physics, earth and space science, and of course energy. And the students go there and they have to compete at a very high level, and it takes a lot of time and effort on their part to invest in themselves. You ready? You want me to talk more? I can.
They're ready. They're just waiting for you to call their names.
So, one of the things that I do want to recognize is that I'm most obviously familiar with Science Bowl and Science Olympiad, but it takes a wealth of volunteers to do those programs, especially Science Olympiad. And actually it takes hundreds of volunteers to put those together. It is a great bang for your buck competition. You get a lot of academic performance out of small monetary investment. Okay, so it's not, first of all, because I never want to forget this guy. In the world, we are so lucky when we find someone the caliber of this guy. I'm going to give myself credit for that. And I did chase him, I meant it. And he is a rock solid thing. He does everything that we would ask of a coach to do except for inventing the questions. Okay, so I'm going to introduce these students. And I also want to say that they actually inspire me. People say, well, why are you doing this once you retire? And the reason is they need it and they deserve it. And they inspire me every day to do things for them. And I think that that's a caliber of, your essence is amazing. Also, these students all, most of them put together science study materials for Science Olympiad for elementary. They helped coach elementary and some of their fellow students in high school. And they volunteered for elementary Science Olympiad to put that on to help the next generation. And we cannot ask anything more of our students than to do that. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce them, and I want them to tell you one little thing that they learned from Science Bowl, because it's important to hear. So, do you want to start, Alexis? Here we go. Alexis Esperanza.
Good afternoon. So one thing I learned from Science Bowl was about the immune system and the different roles that T cells and the B cells and the antibodies have on like protecting us against pathogens and any viruses that may infect us.
Ruth Hernandez.
Hello. One thing I learned about Science Bowl was how many volcanoes there are and how many times they've erupted. And I don't know why there's so many, but they're really cool and they have a big effect on us. So hopefully there's not that many that are going to come soon. Thank you.
And this is Kate Lee, who helped recruit some Alexis.
Hi, one thing I learned from Science Bowl was about the cardiovascular system. I took a great liking to it, so yeah.
This is Mattia Amato, and he is our team captain, and we'll be going to Harvey Mudd. And there he is.
My name is Mattia Amato, and one interesting thing I learned during Science Bowl was that the atom exchanges tiny charges called color charges.
Yes, you need to stand in the middle, and that way families can take pictures. All right, you are free to go.
Wait, some of them missed material for Sunday.
Thank you. Next, if we can have our Science Olympiad winners to come and their coach, Kiana Cox.
Okay, you guys get along with that.
Okay, oh, I'm sorry.
Maybe we just want two lines, guys.
Just walk in front of these guys.
So 2 lines.
Hey, that's your short piece.
Well,
Well, good evening. Thank you, guys. I'm Kiana Cox, and I'm here with my co-coach, Jeff Smink. Thank you to the board for recognizing our Tokay Science Olympiad students for all their hard work this year. We had another good season, had enough participants for 2 teams, which is always exciting. Good parent support, some very motivated students. And this season, thanks to our fundraisers, we were able to attend 3 invitational events where we competed at Davis, Berkeley, and then USC down in Southern California. And they competed up to 80 teams per event. And we brought home medals despite all of that competition that we were in. In addition to all the science that this exposes students to, they also get to meet and interact with some of the top students from schools around the country. And maybe most importantly, they get the opportunity to spend time on all these different college campuses, which I think is great for them. At our San Joaquin regional event, we placed 3rd and took home medals in 10 of the 23 events, including first places in anatomy, chem lab, flight, and optics. Our 3rd place win there at regional sent us to the state competition at Cal State Hayward this year, and we had a good showing there as well. It was really fun. The highlight was our anatomy team who took 1st place and beat out several past national winning teams, so that was pretty amazing. It was an amazing season. The students have been fantastic examples of what we want our students to achieve. And we have 8 seniors graduating this year. We're going to miss them very much, but they're going into chemistry and medicine and engineering. And I think this program really does, give them that extra bit of experience that helps them make those decisions. So we really hope that, the school district and the board continues to make STEM stuff and activities a priority because it gives them such great opportunities. Thank you for giving them these opportunities. So our students here, just to give you, name them all, we have Erin Parra, Alexis Esparza, Allie Grant, Ashley Reagan, Avery Deshay, Baruch Hernandez, Bonnie Brar, Corey Smink, Ethan Wynn, Kate Lee, Mattia Amato, Olivia Deshay, Scott Spencer, and Sean Spencer for Purple Team Tokay Science Olympiad. I want people to take pictures of you, so just come line up. Can we do that?
We'll make you go back.
Call the names off. All right. Who do you have? How many want we go by? Are they in this order? Erin Parra. Alexis Esparza. Allie Grant. Ashley Reagan. Avery Deshay. Baruch Hernandez. Bonnie Brar. Corey Smith. Ethan Wynn. Kate Lee. Mattia Amato. Olivia Deshay, who's not with us tonight. Scott Spencer. And Sean Spencer.
Okay, now I'm up here for a big picture, group picture. Here.
We've done this so many times.
Okay. Good.
Next, it's our pleasure to introduce our California FFA State Finals Contest winners. If we can have coaches Becky Freeman and Joe Valente.
Good evening. I'll go ahead and call the kids in real quick, and then I'll just say a couple words about the contest. We have Adrian Mendoza. Matthew Pena. And Tyler Henderson. Just real quick, this contest takes place in the months of January and February. So these three boys worked really hard in learning about the different types of grapevine pruning that we do, especially here in our area, as well as down in the Fresno and Reedley area. We competed in a couple different contests in January, won first place in both of those, and then the state finals contest, we just held at Fresno State in February, and we were crowned state champions for this year. So. Thank an industry coach, Joe Valente. He's the vineyard manager at Kalps Farms, and so he's been helping us coach this team for many, many years.
Next, we'd like to honor our FFA Spanish Creed speaker, and if we can have Jesse Chavez and Zola Quintana, please come up.
Hello, everyone. So beyond the grapevine pruning that you just heard about, we also have speaking competitions in the FFA, and we are so incredibly proud of Adrian Mendoza. Not only is he a grape expert, he's also an incredible speaker. And this year, he not only won our section level, our region level, and he is the first ever state champion for Tokay FFA in the speaking competition. And the Spanish Creed is a very, very special competition. It is new to California, and the FFA Creed is something that has been around since the 1930s in the FFA organization. It's a 5-paragraph speech that discusses the basically the rules and the mindset of FFA members and how we hold our students accountable, and this is a Spanish version. So Adrian memorized it and recited it completely in Spanish and also answered reflective questions in Spanish as well to a panel of judges. And again, he won the entire state, so we are extremely, extremely proud of him. And I also want to give a very special shout out to Ms. Zoila, who helped coach him along the way as well. So we are very proud of both of them, and to have a record breaker and a first at Tokay is amazing. So we are so proud of Adrian.
And now, as these last few awards have all been of Tokay students, we'd like to invite the very proud principal of Tokay High School to present our last award, the National Merit Scholarship, Principal Enrique Avalos.
Thank you. This student is, of course, very, very special. You've seen him up here about 3 or 4 times in the last 15 minutes. But I just want to go ahead and congratulate Mattia Amato, who is our National Merit Scholar.
Congratulations to all of our award winners tonight. Thank you, board.
Mr.
Okay, we're
Knackson? Oh, I was gonna say, members of the board, we were gonna take a 5-minute
Yeah, we're gonna
recess.
take about a 5-minute break here so we can get the people who wanna go home, go home. Then we'll start off. The next set of let's tell, please. Okay, we're ready to move on with proclamations. We have 4 of them. I'm going to do the first one, National School Nurse Day. Cheryl Jones. Cheryl, you here? Okay, well, May 8th, 2024, whereas school nurses understand the link between health and learning and are in a position to make a positive difference for children every day, and whereas school nurses identify health problems, develop plans, provide treatment for medically fragile students and students with severe health needs, including anaphylactic allergies, diabetes, and asthma, in order that all children can access learning and be safe at school. With the support of school nurses, students with chronic illnesses are able to attend school with fewer interruptions in learning, and whereas school nurses play an integral role in assisting families to access health care for their children. School health service programs emphasize prevention of disease and promotion of health and health services, health counseling, and health education. School nursing is a specialized practice of professionalism, professional nursing that advances the well-being, academic success, and lifelong achievement of students. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Lodi Unified School District recognize May 8, 2024 as National School Nurse Day in Lodi Unified School District, and is proclaimed this day by Lodi Unified School Board. Now you can say something you want.
I mean, I can.
Sure.
Just not a lot, but thank you guys so much for recognizing us. Like, we have National School Nurse Days tomorrow, and it's celebrated nationally. We put in a lot of work. We have a great team. This is Stephen Marsden, one of our other school nurses. We have a great team. We have a staff meeting tomorrow, so we'll be able to present this to all of our nurses. And we just want to thank you guys for recognizing us and all our efforts.
Thank you. Okay, and next is National Speech Language Pathologist Appreciation Day, Dr. Ball. And we have college, Derek.
All right, today we have before the Board of Education of Lodi Unified School District of the County of San Joaquin, State of California, a proclamation, National Speech Language Pathologist Appreciation Day. May 18, 2024, whereas May is Better Hearing and Speech Month, established to provide an opportunity to raise awareness about communication disorders and the role of speech-language pathologists in providing life-altering treatments, and whereas it is important to recognize the vital role that speech-language pathologists play in the development of our students, and whereas school-based speech-language pathologists carry out duties including evaluating communication skills, determining communication delays and disorders, writing comprehensive assessment reports, identifying service and support options, creating and carrying out individualized education programs, acting as case managers, providing direct therapy services, collecting progress data, completing progress reports, practicing as members of student success teams, and supervising student speech-language pathologists in training. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Lodi Unified School District recognize May 18, 2024 as the National Speech-Language Pathologist Appreciation Day in Lodi Unified School District, proclaimed this 7th day of May 2024. Congratulations.
On behalf of all of the speech-language pathologists of Lodi Unified, thank you.
Okay, next up, Classified School Employees Week with Mr. Porter and Desiree Wise. Desiree, yeah. Mr. Wise.
A proclamation proclaiming the Classified School Employee Week 2024 theme, Empowering Generations, May 19th through the 24th of the year 2024. Whereas Ed Code 45460 designates the third full week in May as Classified School Employee Week to recognize the outstanding contributions of the classified school employees, and whereas classified employees have earned respect as educators and partners in our education community. More importantly, they have become recognized as the essential frontline workers who keep our schools up and running while making a difference in the lives of the students they serve. And whereas classified employees provide the operational support for the district in its purpose of educating children, our custodial maintenance staff keep our campuses clean and safe, our bus drivers and transportation staff get students to and from school safely, our school staff meet the needs of students, parents, and administrators, our nutrition service workers keep students fed and ready to learn, our technical staff keep everyone connected and online, our paraeducators support students and help them overcome new challenges, and other classified personnel such as community liaisons keep our school environment positive and safe. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Lodi Unified School District Board of Education hereby recognize and declare the week of May 19th to the 25th, year 2024 as the Classified School Employee Week in the Lodi Unified School District. This proclamation is the 7th day of May of 2024, signed by Gary Knackstead, President of the School Board, and representing the board itself. Ms. Wise. Congratulations.
Okay, who's next? Ms. Alexander, and California Day of the Teacher. Lisa Wilkins.
Before the Board of Education of the Lodi Unified School District of the County of San Joaquin, State of California, proclamation, California Day of the Teacher. Whereas California Ed Code 37222 designates the second Wednesday in May as the Day of the Teacher in recognition of the dedicated professionals entrusted with fulfilling the mission of education to prepare our students for the future. And whereas, in addition to teaching academics, teachers provide guidance, support, and encouragement to their students. And whereas the board recognizes that teachers have helped to produce the thinkers, scientists, artists, inventors, technicians, and engineers who have led California to become one of the largest economics in the world. And whereas the board admires teachers who are continuous learners and add to their own education by completing advanced degrees, coursework, and professional development throughout their careers. And whereas the board appreciates teachers who strive to create a learning community that facilitates each student's academic and social emotional growth. And whereas the theme of the 2024 California Day of the Teacher is California Educators United for Our Students. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education of Lodi Unified School District hereby recognizes and honors the contributions of our educators and proclaims May 8th, 2024 as California Day of the Teacher in Lodi Unified School District. I'm honored to proclaim this 7th day of May. Gary Knackstead, President of the Board and the Lodi Unified School District Board.
President Knackstead, can I have?
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank everybody for being here, and a quick shout out personally from me to the kindergarten teacher at Westwood Elementary who did teacher training and professional development and consultation with CORE, and with that, in single year, her scores from 4% in her classroom meeting standards went up to 65%. Simply from doing professional development and of course the dedication that this teacher showed. So I am going to touch up more upon on our board comments, but this was very impactful for me today and I wanted to share it. Thank you. Thank you to all the teachers.
Thank you. All right, moving on to our students representatives. I don't see any tears over there, but this is your last meeting. So,
Don't smile too much.
yeah. Okay, any comments? How about Ahmad? Ms. Ahmad, do you have comments?
Yes. I'll get started. Good evening, President Knackstead, members of the board, and Superintendent Young. On May 2nd, MESA held their 7th annual MESA banquet where they acknowledged their members' achievements. The old executive board ended off the night with heartfelt speeches as they stepped down from their positions. Now this week, on May 10th, they plan to hold a rewards field trip to Great America to end the year off on a positive note. With this being said, all of our other clubs are planning their last club meetings where they will be hosting potlucks and playing games to commemorate their hard work throughout the year. This week, Student Government for Teachers Appreciation Week created gift baskets for our lovely teachers. These baskets included some of their favorite snacks, new middle college apparel, as well as handmade roses to let them know how much we appreciate them for all their hard work and effort they put into helping us succeed. As for upcoming events, we are getting ready for a pool day this Thursday. A huge thank you goes out to Delta College for letting us use their pool, as well as our PTSA, who will be providing pizza and drinks for all students to enjoy. For students who will not be participating in pool day activities, the gym will be open for volleyball and basketball games. We are hoping this event will be a stress reliever before the much-dreaded finals week. Moving on to accomplishments and recognitions, I would like to thank Mrs. Spinalos, our student government advisor, for being an amazing teacher who cultivated a not only positive but exciting environment for her students. Unfortunately, she will be accepting another position closer to home, and the entire student government class wishes her the best of luck. Last week, from April 29th to May 2nd, student government held their campaign week for the 24 to 25 term. From slime booths, custom pins, fake money, to even involving Delta College professors in campaign week activities, I can proudly say campaign week was a success. Now I'm excited to announce next year's executive board. President Celine Wang, Vice President Abigail Nguyen, Secretary, might I add this was a hard one, this did end off on a tie last Friday. However, today we were able to sort this out through an interview process. Our secretary for next year will be Alex Zabik, Treasurer Courtney Nguyen, co-directors Nefgidan Sandhu and Akela Nguyen, and last year co-historians Tristan Bartolome and Caitlin Herr. Congratulations to all of you. Moving on to upcoming activities and events. Pool Day will be this Thursday on May 9th. MESA's reward trip will be on May 10th. Delta College's graduation ceremony will be on May 16th, and our high school graduation will be on May 17th. Before I end off my last school report, I would like to express my gratitude to the Board of Education, Superintendent Young, and middle college staff who gave me this invaluable opportunity. Although I came in as a student representative at the beginning of this year, I was able to learn from not only my fellow student representatives, who guided me through all the meetings, but also from the board as well. With 1 week and 3 days remaining till graduation, yes, I am counting down the days, I am filled with both feelings of excitement and apprehension as I do not know what the future has in store for me. But one thing I do know is that all my years with this district have prepared me for this world which lies outside the confines of our classrooms. Thank you.
I have a question for Ms. Ahmad. What are your plans for the future after graduation?
I plan on going to UC Berkeley as a molecular and cell bio teacher.
Okay, let's see where, Ms. Del Prado.
Alrighty, good evening, President Knackstead, members of the board, Superintendent Young. It's my last time saying that. Before I begin my report, I would like to extend a thank you to the board for allowing us ASB presidents and student representatives to represent our schools here. I appreciate every opportunity I've been given and the experience this whole thing has given me. Alrighty, so Powder Puff Week is next week. We will kick off our Spirit Week on Monday with Gym Rats versus Couch Potatoes. Tuesday will be White Lies versus Red Flags. Wednesday is West Coast versus Wild West, followed by Throwback Thursday, and we will finish off the week with Friday as Purple Out versus Green Out to show support for our juniors and seniors participating in Powder Puff. As for the game, it will be Friday the 17th. Doors will open at 6 p.m. and the game will begin at 7. Tickets are sold on gofan.co, students and seniors for $5 and adults for $8. There will be food trucks available and the snack bar will be open. I highly recommend attending so you can watch us seniors, aka me, beat the juniors. Also on the 17th is our Goodbye Rally, the last rally of the school year and the final rally for our seniors ever. The theme is Glow in the Dark. For student government, prom was a huge success. Student government sold, excuse me, almost 600 tickets. Prom was on the 20th of April and we couldn't have asked for better weather or a smoother sailing night. A special thank you to Adeline Chun, our junior class president, for making our senior prom one to remember. This week is Teacher Appreciation Week, accompanied by a specialized Spirit Week. Monday was Dress as a Teacher, today was High Five a Teacher, tomorrow is Take a Picture with a Teacher, Thursday will be Gift a Teacher, and Friday is Write a Note to a Teacher. Student government applications for next year's ASB opened last Monday, April 29th. The form has since closed and interviews will start next week due to AP testing. Senior Awards Night is tomorrow, May 8th at 6:30. Seniors will be honored for scholarships, military recognition, block awards, leadership, and so much more. Athlete of the Year as well as Senior of the Year nominations will also be announced. The last week for seniors begins the 28th of May. That Tuesday we will hold Senior Olympics, reminiscent of elementary school field day. On Wednesday we will have our senior breakfast along with interactive games to play such as Bear Creek Jeopardy! Wednesday night will be our senior sunset on the football field and our last time together before graduation preparation. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And Mr. Wall.
Good evening, President Knackstead, members of the board, and of course, Superintendent Young. Just as Bear Creek, we had a successful prom just this past Saturday evening, although the weather was not very cooperative with us. The junior class of student government did a wonderful job putting it together. I would also like to extend a special shout out to our prom king and queen, Wyatt Reynolds and Samantha Magana. Additionally, as for student government, we have our elections coming up very soon for the next academic calendar. On Thursday and Friday of last week, Lodi High School hosted Every 15 Minutes for the first time since 2018. On behalf of Lodi High School, I want to share my appreciation for the California Highway Patrol and all organizations that were involved in organizing and fundraising this transformative event. Our junior and senior classes got the opportunity to witness the tragic impacts of drinking under the influence that drinking under the influence can have on the victims, offenders, families, and many others. Additionally, Lodi High Theater is resuming its showing of the play Grease this week, with the final 3 shows taking place Wednesday night through Friday night. As for academics, the dreaded AP season is upon us. Many of our flames will be spending the rest of this week and the next studying, stressing, and hopefully passing their exams. Also for academics, yours truly learned today the value of checking every single email, as you may miss important information such as location changes. And as for upcoming events, Powder Puff is this Saturday, May 11th. Practice is in full swing this week, headed out by some of our varsity football players and cheerleaders. We hope to see you there as the seniors, as always, take down the juniors. As for senior fun, the Goodbye Spirit Week is next week in honor of our soon-to-be graduating flames. Monday is Future Too Bright, wear neon. Thursday is Say Aloha to High School, Hawaiian wear. Wednesday is Decisions Day, college gear. Thursday is Class Color Day, accompanied by the Goodbye Rally. And Friday is Barbecue Dads versus Soccer Moms. Senior Sunset is coming up next week on the 15th. Senior Awards Night is the evening of May 18th. And seniors are currently voting for this year's Senior Superlatives to be featured in the yearbook. Unfortunately, there is not a category titled Most Likely to Become a Multi-Millionaire Supermodel with 10 Porsches and a Yacht, but we do know who would win that superlative. And that is going to conclude my report, but before I finish my time with you today, I do want to thank all of you for allowing me to have this opportunity. As I do enter the very messy world of political science, I will value this opportunity and the experience it has helped me gain. Thank you.
Hang on. Hey, let's go in order here.
I just want to say to the three of you, it's been a pleasure to serve across from you and get to know all three of you. Our future has great hope, knowing that our students like you are there. And we're excited for your future. The board would like to give you all a little parting gift, along with the greatest gift of all, which is you get to take your name tag with you. So you can wear that at graduation if you so choose, totally up to you, but I'd just like to share this with the three of you.
Cash those checks early. Hey, okay, Mr. Nobby, you had a comment?
Mr. Young just covered everything that I.
Okay. Well, I just like to say, again, make sure you take your name place because you can't reuse those. And you're always welcome to come back and share your adventures and your progress because we'd be anxious to hear about that. Any other comments? Board comments? Okay. Moving on to employee representation. Each employee group representatives shall limit their comments to 5 minutes if there are any that would like to talk. No? Okay.
Okay, President Knackstead, members of the board. First of all, I want to thank you for recognizing teachers today. Teachers are expected to fill many roles. We are mentors, counselors, nurses, event planners, coaches, motivators, referees, and often a substitute parent. But we can't be all things to all students. Every day, more and more responsibilities fall on our shoulders. And the burden is becoming untenable. This year, I am seeing approximately 60 retirements and over 70 resignations over the year. I don't know what our plans are for filling the roles, especially the, now with 3 additional special ed teachers on the resignation list today. My count is we have 50, yes, 50 special ed openings. That's very frightening. Teachers cannot be all things to all students. We don't control how much support our students get. That's your job. We don't control the recruitment and retainment of teachers. That's also your job. We don't control what supplies are in our classrooms. Again, your job. We don't control the curriculum. Again, your job. We don't control how our students are disciplined. Again, your job. We don't control a lot. Yet, you expect a lot from teachers. You can't expect as much as you do from us without giving us the authority, support, people, and other tools to make our job doable. My teachers are working going on 11 months without a contract. Again, a lot of these things are addressed in our contract. Recruiting and retaining teachers by having a good pay schedule, by allowing teachers to take professional development and get credit that advances them on the salary schedule. More and more that is being blocked. Our teachers are asking for safe classrooms by limiting the caseload in special ed. Again, with 50 teachers gone, a lot of the teachers that are leaving, by the way, I've spoken to, they're leaving because of that reason. Because the caseloads are unmanageable. They're going to go to other districts where they respect their teachers. And even the teachers that aren't special ed, the same thing. They're leaving for a district that they feel respects them and wants them there, and is giving them the equitable pay that they deserve. I will tell you that before I became a teacher, and you've heard me preach this before, that I spent several years in private industry. And that industry has its challenges. I'm not gonna even complain, but they're different. Because in this job, we have a responsibility to make sure our students, and there's 3 prime examples here, are successful and go on to become productive members of our society. We all want that. Teachers want that, believe me. But we cannot do it by ourselves, and more we're expected to. More and more teachers are having to do things like clean their classrooms, because not only do teachers not get paid well, but neither are our classified staff. We can't recruit and retain those people that support our students, our bus drivers, our custodians, our office staff, our food staff. So, as we go into 11 months without a contract, I want you all to reflect on why that is so. And let's truly make this a day of the teacher, where teachers here at Lodi can proudly say that yes, we are respected, we want to be here. There's many reasons for us to stay. Make it so. That's within your power. Thank you.
Slide.
Good evening, members of the board, Mr. Young, Desiree Wise, CSEA. Once again, thank you for the proclamation recognizing classified school employees. I find it ironic that in this document it talks about how we've earned the respect as educators and partners in our education community. For me, I think it's easy to put that on paper, but there's a lot of things that aren't going well with classified employees right now in the district. And I feel that it's easy to put that on paper, but we have to be able to walk the walk and not just talk the talk. And I don't really think that we're walking the walk. There's a lot of little things that are going on between CSEA and the district, and it doesn't show that we've earned the respect as this paper says. So thank you for this, but hopefully actions will change. To me, actions speak louder than words. Anyhow, so yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Any other employee group members? Okay. We're going to move on to comments from the public. At this time, a 20-minute time period has been set aside for the public to address the board on items not listed on the agenda. Each public speaker shall limit their comments to 3 minutes. The board cannot engage in dialogue about public comments because of restrictions placed by the California Brown Act. Make sure you give us your first and last name before you start speaking. Susan Heavily.
Good evening, Susan Heckerly. There are 6 cats and 3 bulls. How many more cats are there? Wouldn't it be nice if we said, how many more cats are there than bulls? That would be a better math question. Let's do 7 minus 5. Let's draw 5 circles. And then we can put 2 more circles down. And we could put the answer as 2. And then we could do the equation 7 minus 5 equals 2. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. But let's face the facts. If you know 7 minus 5 is 2, then doing the other way takes at least 95% more time. Our students are not in school that many days, 180, 181. And out of that time in elementary, there are about 20 minimum days. And then on top of that, we have a calendar year that's 365.24 days. So our students actually go to school less than half of a year. So my point here is that we need to have our students from a young age learn their math facts. Math is a great thing because it's objective. There's nothing subjective about it. We don't have to argue about it. We just need to know it. And the great thing about knowing math is that it builds confidence. And every student can do that. Now, we heard a lot of students here had a lot of great things happening because of special projects and coaching. But we need to have something where we can extend the basic math facts for every child in our district to give them the opportunities to be the most successful. I don't think it's very difficult. I've generated hundreds of pages myself of math facts. But I think that we haven't taken it seriously enough and put forth our effort to recognize that this is something that we need to take care of for all of our students, not just for the ones that get extra coaching and have individual tutoring like occurs at my house. We need to look at something for all students, which is scary when you say that for all students, because we have a situation in the United States and in California where a lot of things in education are political. And as I've been looking at math, there might be some things coming down our way that's an attack on our math program. So I'm asking us to seriously consider extending math for all students by providing them with additional material. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ron Heblin.
Good evening, Ron Heberly, community member and grandpa. I too want to talk to you about the math curriculum that our state has bestowed upon us. The curriculum has many holes in it. Our teachers are knocking themselves out to try to make it make sense, but it's not working. Public education talks about being data-driven, and if anyone seriously looks at the test scores at Lodi Unified or San Joaquin County or the state of California, I think it's easily recognizable that the Common Core math that we are subjected to is a failure. I have spoken to a lot of teachers and parents about the same thing, and the math curriculum is cumbersome, confusing. The math problems are very time consuming, as opposed to learning the math facts, doing the math. It is so convoluted, unless you see it, you cannot believe it. The teachers, again, like I said, are knocking themselves out. There are teachers that absolutely love teaching math, but they're beside themselves as how unsuccessful this is for the children to grasp it. So let's look at the data. If we're truly data driven, let's look at it. There's got to be something done. If you remember when whole language was introduced as the main way to teach reading, and it pushed phonics to the side. After several years, the state powers that be finally realized that whole language alone was not working as planned, and I see people shaking their heads, who had to live through that mess. And let's face it, who paid the price? The kids paid the price. Oh, whoopsie, we made a mistake, it didn't work. Well, here we are again, experimenting with something that is not working. It's called Common Core Math. So if I may be so bold as to offer a suggestion, take it for what it's worth, it's just a suggestion. Until the math curriculum can change, maybe we can dovetail more traditional math curriculum within what we're doing now, so that the kids can just plain do the math. They don't need to know how they feel about the question. That's insanity. So teach them how math works. You can still do your Common Core, which unfortunately the states, the districts all over the state are required to do, and let the children thrive. We've seen a lot of successes tonight. We just need to broaden those successes to include more and more children for their sake. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Ann Suela Garcia. I wanted to jump on with something that Lisa said. I was at the TIP mentor end of the year thing last week, and I was talking to a teacher, and I said, so you're gonna be at your school next year? And she's like, no, I'm leaving. 2 years as an intern, 2 years TIP mentor. We've invested 4 years in her, and she's leaving. Special ed teacher, bigger master stipend, bigger signing bonus, and a pay raise, $20,000 more a year. So we've invested 4 years, and she's gone. But that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about time. I love seeing all the kids here. My sister's an ag teacher. I know how many hours it is. My friend is Jackie Fry. She's getting those kids there. She will take checks, cash. You can Venmo me because there's no funds to get those kids to Michigan. So if you would like to give money for them, I'm not too proud to say it. You can Venmo me. You have my Venmo. You can Venmo Jackie. Give her a check before you leave. Anyone here can put money in her hands. It's going to cost $10,500 to get those kids there. But I see those kids there, and then Mrs. Alexander, also known as Sherry, read these things that teachers do, that we guide, support, and encourage students. We produce thinkers, scientists, artists, inventors, technicians, engineers, continuous learners. We're continuous learners. We have advanced degrees in coursework. And when Mr. Heverly was on the board, I talked about how you trust us. You trust us with the equipment, all that expensive equipment we have in your room. You trust us with keys to a school. We have a special badge. We can go in there. And more importantly, you trust us with the kids. And today, during the lockdown drill, it reminds me all the time how much I'm trusted. Because I have kids in a lockdown drill where I know I'm expected to save them. And then we come across things where we're not trusted. Example, our time. So Mrs. Fry has given many hours of her time for free. All those people there, you called them coaches, but a lot of them were teachers. Jamie, Kim, Araceli, they gave their time for free. Maybe there was a stipend, but we all know how stipends work, right? You get like 12 cents an hour. So if you had to pay comp time to teachers, you couldn't afford it. And I wanted to read this tweet by Nicholas Ferroni, who's a teacher. He's out there on the internet all the time. He's this really handsome teacher that says great things about teachers. He says, I can't imagine what would happen if teachers and school staffs only worked their contractual hours, only fulfilled their contractual duties, and only used the resources schools provided. And then someone said, the entire education system is built on unpaid teacher overtime. And so I know that we can't get comp time. I know in other jobs, like you work on a Saturday, they say, hey, come in late Monday. I know we can't do that because you can't afford it. But I know what you could do. You could give us those 10 days where we're treated like responsible adults because you trust us with kids' lives, you trust us with the equipment, you trust us with the classroom. You could trust us with our time, that I'm a 57-year-old woman that knows to make a responsible decision. And bargaining is on May 14th. And speaking about time, the last time they met, it's my understanding that in the day where teachers got a sub and did sub plans, that's a lot of work, they had about a little bit more than an hour FaceTime with the district's bargaining team. And if I ran my parent-teacher conference meetings, or if I ran a meeting like that where I said, oh, hey, come meet with me, and oh, I'm gonna go in another room and I'll come back when I'm ready, and out of that time, let's say 8 hours, only an hour of it was spent with them, I would get a phone call from my principal from using my time wisely. So I encourage the district to come ready. I'm going to get a few more seconds because everybody else did. I expect the district to come ready and ready to negotiate and honor people's time. And I'm hoping that the district will see that one thing you can do besides write a check is honor teachers' time and let us use the time as we need it. Thank you.
Janice Vanderland.
Good evening, members of the board and Superintendent Young. I would like to make sure that you all have your blue packet. I had those handed out before the meeting. It is the materials that I'm going to be referencing right now. My name is Janice Vanderlands, and I am an elementary school secretary. Your packet includes an email I will be reading. This email was sent by many of our Principal 1 secretaries to personnel in response to a summer school secretary posting, which is also included. I've also added Principal Secretary 1 and 2 job descriptions, which are identical, except for the fact that 1s work at elementary sites and 2s work at middle schools and get paid more. On behalf of the Area 1 and Area 2 Principal 1 secretaries, I want you to be aware of a practice that has been going on for several years now and comes across as blatantly dishonest. I'll now read the email. I am writing to share my dissatisfaction and disappointment with the recent job posting that came out for summer school secretary. As Principal Secretary 1s, we have been trying to get our position reevaluated and our job description and pay updated. We have been met with barriers at every turn. Our efforts to be paid for the actual work we perform has been going on for over 2 years now and is not a secret to the district or personnel. We've been told that we cannot be reclassified because there's nothing to reclassify us to, and that our extra duties are part of extra duties as assigned, while being bounced around between departments, pointing their fingers at who should really help us. This has been frustrating, to say the least. Additionally, the application process is insulting. We are referencing the application process for summer school secretary. Anyone can apply regardless of the requirements. Even the typing certificate for 45 words per minute per the job description has been discarded. In theory, a school playground and cafeteria monitor could apply, get the position, and paid more than we are. To open up a job listing that is offering an elementary secretary position that is for 3 weeks and doing minimal secretarial work as a principal secretary 2 is a slap in the face. We understand that this is probably the way LUSD has always done it, but it's not okay. You are basically hiring anyone to do a position with less responsibility and getting more pay than the dedicated, hardworking people that do it daily. This is demeaning to us as Principal Secretary 1s. Finally, this is a perfect example of how tone deaf our district office has become. In a district that advertises itself as on Forbes' list of great places to work, you are definitely not meeting your goal to create and support a school environment in which all students, staff, and parents feel safe, secure, and valued. Thank you for your time.
Jackie Fry.
Good evening, I'm Jackie Fry, 5th grade teacher at John Muir. I wanted to publicly thank the many parents, teachers, families, friends, and strangers who have donated to help the 3 students who will be representing Lodi Unified and the state of California at the National Invention Convention in Dearborn, Michigan in June. We are still about $3,000 short of helping them pay for their registration, airfare, and hotel. Honestly, we did not expect that 1, let alone 3 students would qualify on our very first attempt with this invention convention. We reached out to the district beforehand and were given some verbal assurances that they would make this happen if we had any students qualify. After we competed in Sacramento, we wrote emails to the district and board members. Thank you, Mr. Young, Mr. Dawson, Mr. Knackstead, and Dr. Ball for responding to my emails. Many of you replied saying, try Got Kids. After some questions to Got Kids, we discovered Got Kids doesn't do grants anymore, and they haven't for several years. So unfortunately, that was not an option. We've had to rely on the generosity of our community members. I plan on continuing this program in the future, and hopefully it will also expand to other classrooms as well. So I would urge the district to find some money in the future to help with costs so that this program can continue. It would be a tragedy if students qualified but then could not attend because their families couldn't afford the costs. Many teachers like myself donate our time after hours and on weekends so that our students can have an amazing experience in our classrooms. So please negotiate and settle our contract. Show us that you appreciate us with a fair contract. Thank you.
Lisa Olin, I'm not sure. Or it's Alyssa.
Hello, everybody. Mr. Young, and to the board, and everybody here. I am here as a parent and I guess a community member. I'm learning this process still. I've been in a couple of meetings. I'm still trying to navigate my way through. I know on the paper I wrote down what I was going to discuss, and really I kind of hesitated because my initial reason for attending this meeting was in complaints. But then as I attended and listened, I just realized maybe I'll be complaining to the wrong people or in the wrong way sometimes. But in response to with the previous people that were speaking with the staff issues, I just realized as a parent of students in Lodi Unified, and I have 3 now. I have 2 that previously graduated, extraordinary. I'm sure y'all probably remember, some of you. It's interesting to me because I learned a lot, you know, as far as with the staffing issues and et cetera. And the Common Core math, that's been part of my concern, complaint, et cetera, with some of my kids and being passed through, passing the grades and going to the next grade, you know, steady saying, oh, they're doing good, but they can't do basic math. And I've been realizing as far as the Common Core, you know, I'm still trying to learn a little about that more, but I agree with what he was saying, if, you know, whatever in regards to with our kids. It is a big impact, I realize. All kids are not as successful, and it starts with the core reading, basic math. If they can't get the basic math, how can they, like he said, it's not about how they feel about the math, it should be the basic components in the math that they should get. Another thing, yeah, as far as the data-driven part, as far as with the principals, secretaries, they are a very big aspect of our schools. I realize that. As a parent for me, with the complaint, concern processes, and I try to deal at the site level. You can't just go directly to the principal all the time. They end up sending it to the secretary, and the secretary pretty much be the one that has you feel that your child is safe or whatever before you even get to the actual principal. For me, I know previously, I worked with the previous superintendent at some point, but I'm used to just going directly to the source, and I realize it's a process. Within this district, I see that we have a board. It is pros and cons to that. I'm learning to kind of like the fact that it's a board. I know my time is up, but I just wanted to get this across if possible, because mind you, my thought process has changed as I've been sitting here all this time. With the board versus other schools, where you can go directly to the principal, directly to the director or the superintendent, etc. Yeah, it is a hard process getting to the board, and it is timely when you want to get something done or whatever, especially when it has to do with the kid attending school and it's not really being dealt with at school site level. And then as a parent, if you don't know the navigation or the ways who you're supposed to go to until you actually get to the one person.
Ms. Moore, could you give us your closing statement so we can move on?
Yes, but in point, I just want to say that as far as having the board in the district, I think it is a good thing because you guys can filter through, I want to say, instead of just, I don't know how to explain that part, but all right.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to consent agenda A. The public may address the board on consent agenda A, which is routine business. Each public speaker shall limit their comments to 3 minutes. Is there any public comments on consent agenda A? Okay. Is the board, is there board or staff, does anybody want to pull consent agenda A items? See you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Oh, you had some on, you want to pull something on consent agenda A? I'm sorry, just a comment, sorry. Yeah.
So, good evening. My name is Michelle Wolf. I've been at Lodi High for 22 years. In that time, I have hosted prom, been student government advisor, part of PBIS and now the Connections Committee. I put together the incoming freshman day, headed the conflict management program, was the advisor for clubs, worked in the...
Ms. Wolf, what are you pulling? What item?
She's just commenting.
I'm just commenting.
She's still in the comment.
Oh. I don't think I had your name.
What item is it?
Yeah, I
Just comment on it.
had an agenda. I put one in for the public comments.
She's talking public.
Oh, okay.
So can I start over now?
Oh, yeah, you did have one in there. Go ahead.
Do I get to start my time over?
Yes, you do.
Thank you. So I've been at Lodi High for 22 years. In that time, I have hosted prom, been student government advisor, part of PBIS, and now the Connections Committee. I put together the incoming freshman day, headed the conflict management program, was the advisor for clubs, worked in the after-school program. Oh yeah, I also taught geography, US history, Gov Econ, Psych Soc, driver's ed, and on-campus intervention. I was also part of the Sun Institute and took the students from that program to Washington, D.C. every other year. In other words, Lodi High isn't just a job for me, it's my life. For much of my life, I felt small. If I tried to take up space, I was told that I was being too much, whatever they wanted to say. At the same time, I never felt like I was enough. I struggled finding a place in the world, both socially and professionally. But in my early 20s, I began teaching and I found what I was meant to do. In the summer of 2002, I was hired at Lodi High. Teachers and admin took me under their wings and taught me the ropes of LUSD. I had found a professional home in Lodi Unified. I thought I was here to stay. Over the years, things have changed. I no longer feel supported by the district admin. It started going downhill during COVID and has gotten more contentious between the district and staff since. The district claims to want to teach the whole child, including social emotional learning, yet when I sent an email to 13 people in the district admin and the board about a social emotional learning coach in our district, like starting that position, 8 of 13 people read that email. The average time spent reading that email was 20 seconds. One person did respond to me, and I appreciate that, but they felt that there was too many differing needs in our district for a position like that to work. That showed me that the district is not only disrespectful to teachers, but does not entirely care about the emotional well-being of our students as much as they say. Also, every year starts without a contract. This year, the district didn't even offer COLA, and throughout the negotiation process, the district arrives to meetings unprepared. Positions have been added and raises have been given to those at the district admin level, yet teachers and other staff fight year after year for their fair share. This is disrespectful to the frontline employees doing the work of keeping this district functioning. Disrespect has also been shown in board meetings on at least 2 occasions. One, where a person speaking about the electricity situation at McNair was told to grow up, and the second, when the audience, mostly filled with teachers, was referred to as the peanut gallery. All of this adds up to being told that we are too much or not enough. It lets the staff in Lodi Unified know that we are expected to just sit quietly back and do what we're told without making a fuss about inconsistencies, poor treatment, or lack of respect. I have worked hard to heal from the abuse in my personal life, and I am fed up with it in my professional life. I am grateful to my colleagues that I've made at my years in Lodi High, at Lodi High, but I can no longer work for a district that does not respect the people who make it run. With a heavy heart about leaving my colleagues, friends, and students, I have turned in my resignation effective the last day of school. I quit.
Okay, now moving on to consent agenda A. Board, was there?
I got another one.
We
No,
gotta
I
move
wanted
on.
to pull something.
What?
I
I'm
wanted
sorry.
to pull something on the consent agenda.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
You can't pull, but you can make a
All right.
comment.
So I wanted some clarification on A10, the Cal Shape, for $2 million. What are we spending $2 million on?
That's your comment?
That's my, yeah.
Yeah.
That's my question.
It's a question, so Mr.
Yeah,
Knackstead,
I
if,
can't answer those questions, you have to just comment, make a comment, and then we'll go from there.
I can't question what we're spending $2 million on because I've read the resolution, I've read the summary, I still don't understand.
What is your comment, then?
That's my comment. I don't
Okay.
understand what we're spending $2 million on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other? Okay, board, are there any items you'd like to pull?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve routine agenda A items.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Students are long gone, so we're down to board vote. Okay, we almost have ready. Let's check. Keyboards. There we go. Okay, consent agenda A passes 7-0. All right. Moving on to consent, our public comments on consent agenda B. The public may address the board on consent agenda B, which is student matters. Each public speaker shall limit their comments to 3 minutes. Does anybody who would like to speak on consent agenda B?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve consent agenda B.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Stroh. Okay. Board vote then. Okay, consent agenda B passes 7-0. Other action items. First, other action item number 1, approval of the primary logo for Victor Elementary School. Mr. Young?
yes, Mr. Knackstead, members of the board, before you is the Victor logo for your approval.
Okay. Any comments?
Chairman, I move we approve the logo For Victor.
Okay, we have a first and second. And we have just a board vote then. That was an easy one. Okay, passes 7-0. Other action item number 2, which is a credential waiver application and approval. Any comments? Board comments?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the credential waiver application.
Second.
Okay. Board vote. Okay, and that passes 7-0. Looking at reports, voter survey results for potential future bond measures. Mr. Khan?
Thank you, President Knackstead, members of the board, Superintendent Young. I'd like to introduce the board to somebody the Facilities Committee has already met and has worked with on several occasions, both in person and through the modern technology. This is Mark Farrell. Mark is the board's investment advisor. Mark is with Dale Scott. Through direction of the Facilities Committee, Mark is presenting the circumstances and possibilities of a potential bond.
Thank you, Leonard. Good evening, trustees. Pleasure to be here tonight. Is there
Just advance.
Okay, thanks. We can go ahead one more. So actually in January, we conducted a survey of voters within the district. It's kind of a random sample of kind of representative voters of who is likely to vote in November of 2024. You can see 406 surveys were completed in both English and Spanish. Now, with a lot of people not having landlines, surveys are gathered a variety of different ways. So still make phone calls to landlines, make phone calls to cell phones, also send emails and text messages to voters, and then they can go online and complete the survey. So you kind of see the breakout of how all of the survey responses were gathered. With the 406 completed surveys, it works out to a margin of error about 4.8%, plus or minus 4.8%. So this is actually a question we ask at the end of the survey. We ask where the voter gets their information about the district. And so you can see 30%, it's really word of mouth, friends, family, and district employees. About another 30 or so percent is really from district communications, directly from the district. So district communications, social media, the website, and public meetings. And then you can see a variety of kind of news sources. But one of the key things is as you think about engaging with the community, potentially to put a bond on the ballot and start talking to the community, a lot of their information is really coming directly from the district, either word of mouth through employees or through the communications that you already send out to your community. We ask, again, this is at the end of the survey, do you have children currently in the school, ever had children in the school, grandchildren currently in the school, or ever in the school? And you can see pretty common across the state that 40% of your voters have never had a child or a grandchild go through the school. So again, when you're thinking about your bond measure, it's not just your parents, it's also your non-parents that you're communicating with and wanting to get their opinions. And so you can see about 25% of the voters currently have a student in Lodi Unified, another almost 25% in the past. And so this is actually one of the first questions we ask in the survey itself. We ask for their perception of the quality of education here in Lodi Unified. And you can see really strong results. Half of the community or half of the voters say that education is excellent to good. Another 25% fair. Only 10% poor and 15% unsure. So that's actually kind of a small number. Usually we'd see more people not sure of the quality of education. So you have a community that's fairly familiar with your district. We then ask the same question about the fiscal responsibility. And typically, we kind of see a little bit of a drop off here because voters don't know as much about maybe the fiscal status of the district relative to their overall opinion of how the education is of the district. But still, these are all good numbers. You know, if we saw a huge percentage of people thinking that the finances were in poor shape or the quality of education was in poor shape, that'd be something to be concerned about. And then some kind of general questions about how they feel about public schools. So your community agrees with the statement that public schools are our community's most important asset and should be our #1 priority. 81% of your voters agree with that statement. 86% also agree that having quality schools increase property values. So for those voters that don't have children in the schools, they still see the value of investing in the schools and having quality education here in Lodi. And then we ask voters about their perceptions of Measure U. So the last bond that the district approved, or voters approved back in November of 2016. We asked the voters if they agreed or disagreed with the statement that the district has successfully completed the project's promise with Measure U. Not surprisingly, over half of the voters really don't know. But when we look at those that answered the question, you know, twice as many say yes as say no or disagree with that statement. Really what we're looking for here is there potentially a problem. If you had a large percentage of voters that thought the district hadn't performed well with Measure U, then that might be an issue that would need to be addressed with your community. But with 15% disagreeing with that statement, that's not an alarming percentage. So then before getting into the details of what potentially could go into the bond measure, we actually asked voters the potential 75-word ballot question. So this helps simulate, you know, regardless of what kind of information outreach the district might do, or what type of citizens campaign there might be around a bond measure, so that voter that really doesn't know anything other than they pick up their voter guide and they fill out their absentee ballot, or their vote by mail ballot, or they're actually walking into the polling location really without any information. And we also asked the bond measure question 2 different ways. So half of the voters got one version, half of the voters surveyed got another. And so this first version is really asking for the full $60 per $100,000 tax rate that the district is allowed to ask for under Prop 39. So this would be a potentially $452 million bond measure. I won't read you all of the language on the left, but that's the potential language that can be used. And we can see with that initial question, 41% of the voters would say yes, they would vote for the bond today. Another 19% lean yes. You're around 60% support for the bond measure. 23% no, another 9% lean no. So about 30%, let's say, in the no category. Another 11% not sure, don't know yet. So then we asked the question a little bit differently. So the district's Measure K bonds, the 2002 election, those bonds really get paid off in full in over the next 5 years. So because of that, the tax rates are dropping very quickly, which would allow you to put a bond on the ballot a little bit smaller that does not increase the tax rates above where they are today. And so that is built into this question here. So here we're only asking for a $212 million bond, but you can see the very last line and no increase in current tax rates. And you can see the support for this ballot question is a little bit stronger, 51% yes, another 13% lean yes, around that kind of more the 64% support level. And you can see the no's drop off a little bit as well. 16% no, 7% lean yes, and now I'm down around 23%. We then go through a series of potential projects that the district might include in the bond measure. And for each one of the projects, we ask the voter if knowing that the district would spend money on these projects, would it make you more or less likely to vote for the bond measure? And some respondents will say it's not going to make a difference. If you include this project, it doesn't make a difference. So what we then do is go back and look at how did they answer that initial question. Were they a yes voter or were they a no voter? So in the charts, the blue are the voters that said they'd be more likely to support the bond because of the project. The light blue are those that said, doesn't make a difference. We look back and they were a yes voter. The gray, just don't know. The orange are those, it doesn't make a difference, but they were a no voter at the beginning. And the red are just, that project would make me less likely to vote for the bond. All of the projects tested and asked were viewed favorably by the voters. We randomized the order of the questions, so we're not creating kind of a bias, but always answer the same question first. And then we've sorted them here in the presentation based on which had the most support. So things like expanding career technical education, STEM, coding, electronics, robotics, those types of projects are really up and down the state very popular with voters and communities. So you can see that's the case here. Safety, updating emergency communication systems, and then kind of traditional projects that, even like homeowners, we know every once in a while you have to replace the roof. And so things like replacing roofs and other infrastructure like replacing HVAC on the next page. We asked about ADA accessibility, knowing that's something districts will have to undertake whenever you do any type of modernization, renovating libraries to make them more modern learning spaces, just renovating classrooms, replacing portables, all of these tested very well. Expanding counseling and special education facilities, just repairing aging infrastructure, repairing aging restrooms, renovating play structures, playgrounds, fields, installing additional fencing and gates for security. Again, all well over that 55% threshold for support. And then on the last page, 18, constructing PE facilities, adding pre-K classrooms, shade structures, expanding learning resource centers and wellness centers. And the least supported project, constructing multi-purpose rooms. Again, still when you look at would it make me more likely to vote for the bond, was I a yes voter? Again, well above that 55% threshold, that black line on the slide. So after talking about the projects, we also then asked some questions about the safeguards that are really built into Proposition 39. And again, kind of the same question, would it make you more or less likely to vote for the bond knowing these facts? So the funds have to be spent locally, they can't be taken by the state, is this kind of the strongest argument you can make, and we see that again up and down the state, and it also crosses party line, gender, really almost every voter is supportive of the fact that these are locally controlled funds that the district gets to spend on projects and they can't be taken by the state. Not using funds for administrator salaries and benefits, that full public disclosure of the spending is required. And that includes the Citizen Oversight Committee that you're familiar with. That the projects will qualify for state matching funds. And then lastly, we try to add this element of competition, right? With the state school bond potentially being on the ballot in November, to get those qualifying funds, district have to have their local match. If you don't have the local match, those funds will go to another district. It's supported, but it drops off a little bit. I think it's a little bit of a complicated argument to try to make to a voter, especially in a survey. So after talking about all the things that the voter's going to get, the community's going to get, we then say, well, there's a cost to a bond, right? There's a tax rate associated with the bond. And again, these are split based on the two different questions that we ask. So for the larger $452 million bond measure, we asked would it make you more or less likely to vote for the bond if you knew it had a $45 per 100,000 tax rate or a $60 per 100,000 tax rate. And you can see there's a little bit of a drop off in support for that full $60 tax rate. And then for the second bond, we call it the tax rate extension, where we're keeping tax rates the same. You can see much stronger support when the voter is told that the tax rate is going to stay the same, it's not going to increase. So then after providing the voters all of that information and really ending with that tax question, we then ask, now that you've heard more information, how would you vote for the bond? And we can see support increases. So as the voter gets more information, they're more likely to support the bond measure. So here, with the larger $452 million bond, that support went from 41% yes to 55% yes. The lean yes declined a little bit as those folks moved into the yes camp. So you're up at about 67% support with the larger bond measure. And if we look at the smaller bond measure that doesn't increase taxes, same phenomenon. Voters are more likely to support with the more information they get. So now we're up to 62% yes from 51, another 10% lean yes, so kind of around that 72% support level for the smaller bond that does not increase the tax rates. And then briefly kind of looking ahead at the schedule, if the board would like to place a bond measure on the ballot in November, with direction, we would start working with legal counsel and staff to draft a resolution here in March, and it can be brought to the board as early as June. May, sorry, wrong end month. May, and then brought to the board in June. Happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions from the board?
I just have a quick question. Actually, a comment. Thank you for doing all of this paperwork. When you made the calls, did most of them get answered? Because 406 just seems like an awfully small number, but I understand any survey you take would be good.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I don't know how many calls were made, but it would be in the thousands. So the goal is try to get at least around 400 to get that margin of error down to under the 5% threshold.
So we kind of did reach the goal.
Yes, the target was to hit at least 400, and so we got a couple more, and the call stopped.
Yeah, I'm surprised that you're using telephone surveys because any more people, unless you recognize the number, you're not going to answer it.
That's why.
I'm sure you experienced that.
No, we've definitely experienced that. That's why they're also being, sent as texts and emails.
Yeah.
And it's definitely gotten harder to get those 406 responses. Maybe it takes twice as long, twice as many days to do it as it would have 10 years ago.
Yeah, comments, questions?
Yes, it seems to me that people do care about the bond. Right? Is that your opinion?
Care in what way?
Well, I care that we do need to repair all these things that we need with a $212 million bond.
Yes, I mean all of the projects that were tested, these are the types of things that the district would need to do and could use bond money on, and all of those projects were very well supported by the community. So it seems that there's a perceived need that these projects are things that would be beneficial, and that the voters seem to be willing to support a bond for and have that tax for it.
So Mr. Khan, what are we suggesting? What type of bond? One with a high tax rate, one with a less tax rate.
That was my question.
I would think, these are, for the $212 million bond, these are pretty high percentages, as high as I've ever seen.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Because that goes along with what you asked. Based on your expertise, which one of the 4 options that you provided, there's 4 options, is that correct?
Well, I would say we've kind of presented 2 options to the voters. We asked the.
Because you have one where the property tax rate doesn't go up?
We have one where the property tax rate doesn't go up, and one where the property tax rate would go up by, in our bond language, $60. We then ask about, well, what about a $45 increase to see, how that changes. There's on page 22, if you have it in your board package.
I'm looking at it right now.
It's a small drop off between the 60 and the 45.
Yeah, I see that.
Really where we see a big change is when you tell someone, well, it's not going to increase your tax rates.
So based on your expertise, which one would be most successful?
Oh, well, I think most successful from a voter standpoint would be not increasing the tax rate. We can see there's a good, say 10 percentage points of more support if the tax rate stays the same.
If you had to stagger these, rank them like a horse race.
I think
Number
even,
one, you already said would be the no increase in the property tax rate. What would be number two?
well, you could potentially look at doing something a little bit smaller than 60. And, I think you're right at, 55% support where voters just say yes, right? And that's the threshold we need. So you'd need, some of those, to be comfortable, right? We need to get a good number of those lean yeses just to kind of, to stay in that yes category, to kind of keep the district over that 55%. So I think both, there seems to be support for both, but definitely keeping the tax rate the same is much greater chance of success.
Thank you.
Of the 406 people that you surveyed, how many of them are property owners?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, because if I own 500 acres of ag land and somebody's in an apartment and you're getting all your survey from the apartment owner, or apartment renter.
I'd have to look at it. It's going to be fairly representative of the overall voting population. I'd have to go dig through the.
That would be my big question, because if 55% said yes, is that 55% living in an apartment, or are they ag owners or landowners or property owners? Because that's who it will affect.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
Yeah, I have, we had Major U before now. And actually, we had a committee and representatives like you go through all these percentages. And we had people speaking at public areas. I was one of them, to speak to people in North Stockton and areas like that. Kiwanis Club, Rotary Club, and all that, so we can include and get not really get their sense of whether they're going to vote or not, but you get the sense of getting all the questions that they have to ask you. And we were pretty honest with us, and we had success with Major U.
Well, again, looking at how the survey results improve, like when we ask, before the voter has any information to after information, it definitely looks like the more kind of you're out in the community talking about what the bond measure will do in terms of what projects it will provide. And I think also talking about the successes of Measure U would also be helpful. But definitely, looking at these results, the fact that support increases the more information a voter has says, yes, you should be out there really talking about this.
Okay, any other comments? All right, thank you. Scott, you look like you're ready to say something.
We're seeking direction as to whether or not the board would like Mark to bring back, or myself actually, to bring back a resolution to continue.
Okay, Ms. Corr.
I am not in favor of bringing back a resolution until some of our questions get answered. I'd like to know again who was surveyed, the percentage of breakdown of people, since it is property owners. And I forget which slide it is, you also reference that a certain percentage didn't even know how our last bond did. Again, I would want to know where that sample of people, I need a little bit more about the 406 people that you surveyed in order for me to move forward with the resolution.
Any other questions, comments, concerns?
I agree with Ms. McFarland. Of your 407, we don't know the demographics in any way, shape, or form. And for me to sit here tonight and make a decision based on a poll size of 407 and not knowing anything about them or what they're, just generalities, I need more information.
I can chime in. My gut tells me that I would support the one that would not increase property taxes, because I don't think anything right now is going to pass. That's just my gut telling me that, and not necessarily your expertise. That's right.
You'd be surprised, Mr. Connector. You'd be surprised. whether the people support this,
Yeah, I-
whether they pay long taxes, and all that. You know, that's my experience with Measure U, and we had the same questions that you're asking. I'm familiar with it, and I think that we should go ahead, we need the money.
Yeah.
And if we don't get this measure, I mean, then we're back to zero, and then nothing gets done. So it's a shot. So it's a voter's decision to do this. It's not our decision, not mine, because I'm just one vote. But it's the voter's decision to get what's needed for Lodi Unified School District to improve. Just like we had Measure U before, you know, and we specify exactly, it doesn't go to teacher salary, it doesn't go to this, doesn't go to administrator, none of the money, all the money is going to improvement of Lodi Unified School facilities.
I have a question.
It's true.
What's it cost to put a bond on the ballot?
Let's see. The biggest cost is really the election costs that the county will charge. I don't have those numbers. I don't know if you know, a recent board election might be a good proxy for what those costs would be. We can ask the county for an estimate of what the cost would be for a November election and share that information.
Okay, any other comments or concerns? You're looking for direction tonight, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm affirmative, sir.
I do support the bond. I think it is necessary, but if it's all right with the board and the cabinet, if we can get answers on email, and then we can somehow communicate and say we're moving forward.
Maybe during our study session.
Just the questions that the board members have asked, if we can send us the answers, and I think everybody agrees we need a bond. They just
The demographic information is all readily available. Those just aren't numbers I have committed to memory, so those can be very quickly, I can get those very quickly over to Mr. Khan, and then the county might take a few days to respond with the election cost estimate.
Mr. Connexton?
Yes.
May I
Yes.
ask Mark a question?
Yes, please.
So if nothing comes back on May 17th, or you still don't have direction, or their county timelines or registrar voter timelines?
Yeah, the election resolution needs to be delivered to the county by August 9th. So we have a little bit of time to kind of get some questions answered and get this back to the board.
So, Mr. Connexon, members of the board, what I would recommend is, as that information is gathered, we can bring this back to seek your direction at the first board meeting in June. I think it would be wise to do that in a public setting to get clear direction from the board if you want to proceed. We do have, not knowing the timeline of putting all the information together, we do have one, if not two additional board meetings in June. We also have July. So obviously it gets tighter, more stressful the less time you have, but I do believe that what I'm hearing is there's an interest, but it's not clear because of that desire for more information. So my recommendation would be we come back the first board meeting in June, and then once you have that information, then you can determine if you want to move forward at that point. Because I didn't hear consensus that right now you're ready. I didn't hear a definitive no. What I heard is more information is needed before that direction is given, even though Mr. Nava made it clear from his standpoint where he sits in that. It just seemed like there was not enough clarity on that direction. Does that, to the board, does that sound like a reasonable way to proceed?
To me, I think, actually. Okay, so let's do that, yeah.
Okay. We have direction.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we have another report, don't we? Where, I lost my place. Oh, yeah, here we go. Yeah, we have a revisions of board policy 0410, non-discrimination in district programs and activities. 1312.3, uniform complaint procedures, and this goes on and on and on. Any public comments on this report item? Okay, let's have the report, and I'll ask for that, I guess.
Thank you, President Knackstedt, members of the board, and Superintendent Young. This is the next set of policies which were called out in the federal program monitoring for review that were not up to date. So we have gone and consulted with the gamut of CSBA policies to bring them in alignment. And I just want to point out that 5131.2 is coming back in the report. At the last meeting, there was a question that I think I failed to adequately respond to as to why was so much of the language being struck. And it wasn't really being struck, it was being moved from the policy to the rule. So in this attachment tonight, at the end of the policy, the rule language is also there, so you can see that it moved. It didn't really get struck necessarily, it was more appropriate in the rule. And so that's why we brought it back with this other collection of 5.
Could you give us your definition between, what's the difference between a rule and a policy?
I can answer that. So your policies create the foundation for how we run the district. The rules, we call them rules, they're actually administrative regulations. In your board bylaws, it is the responsibility of your superintendent and staff to put together the rule of how those are implemented, as well as exhibits that have to do with forms that are filled out. So the rule aspect of it is an administrative regulation, and your bylaws dictate it is our responsibility as your staff to put those together. That's how it will be implemented. The overarching policy guides us in how that happens.
All right, any comments?
I have a quick one.
Okay, here and then here.
Thank you, Sherry. This is for our revised policy 5125 for student records. If we go to the existing paragraph that we haven't modified, it looks like the second one, the superintendent or designee shall designate a certified employee to serve as custodian of records. Is it a single person who's custodian of records, or is it a group of people?
Well, that would be handled at, records could be handled by the site, or as a student graduates, becomes CWA's policy to handle the records. So it's typically more than one person.
So by the site, basically.
Until the student, transfers over or graduates or transfers out.
And then just following that question is, the all appropriate personnel shall receive training. What training, do we have specified training for this? Or is it just a cabinet meeting that we hold and first conversation about it? Because it looks like if it's by the site, that each admin in the site should be trained on how to handle the records.
Well, yeah, this was really more pertaining to the collection of and the retention of the actual documents. Our documents now primarily are digital, so they're housed in our ARI system for the most part. So that is, the training is provided by our IT staff as far as the security aspects of that.
Yeah, just one addition, so you also have CUME files that are held at schools and they have those records in them. There are certain responsibilities that teachers have to update certain information, and anyone who's been a teacher knows that fun process at the end of the year to update some of that information. But there's also responsibilities that the school nurse may provide input in, and there is clarity as to what goes in a CUME file. Some of that happens, most of that happens at a school site. The secretary, technical clerks are involved with it, the health service is involved with it, teachers are involved with it, and ultimately when it says superintendent or designee, it's the expectation of principals to make sure that those are securely held, that there's consistency in that so it's principals are trained and the principals are working with their secretaries to ensure that there's consistency in how things are included and what gets included when those CUME files move from one school to another or from one district to another. Child welfare and attendance is also often involved with that if it's been a while since a student. So yes, but it's not like one centralized training. It's ongoing depending on the situation, the school site, and the people involved at the school site oftentimes.
Okay. Oh, yeah, sure.
Thank you, Dr. Solly, for the clarification and for putting all this in. I can't even imagine how daunting this is. One of the things that I just was curious about, and not typos, by the way, is there's a lot of publicity and things going on in our country where a lot of policies are being challenged. And I guess I want to make sure, or I'm not sure, does legal go over these so that these are airtight if they are challenged legally or brought up in that regard? Not whether we are adhering to them, but how they are written specifically.
Yes, so as a school board, you are part of the California School Boards Association. They have a legal team responsible for reviewing updates in laws, and then they make recommendations on those updates in board policies to make sure they are, meeting the legal requirements. Can we guarantee that someone's not gonna, bring a suit? No, this is the world we live in. But the legal support that is provided is done so through Gamut, which is the online where we access that information, but it's done because of a legal team that represents school boards across the state of California. And in California, Ed Code changes constantly. And because it changes constantly, those attorneys are constantly responding. And because of federal program monitoring, and I would just tell you, board, the CDE is getting more involved in trying to control what language is in your board policies, which is an interesting new reality we're facing, and they're using that federal program monitoring, and it's taking away some of the localized control that boards have and putting it in the hands of the California Department of Education and using FPM to push the requirement. So we're kind of at this interesting place that we're seeing the relationship between the CDE and school districts, and specifically with board policies. And I think it speaks to some of those very things that are popping up as a political issue.
Awesome, thank you.
If I can make a quick
Sure.
comment. Also, in many of the CSBA meetings that I have been at, they always say right now. Like it's the language and things that they use is right now, because it changes. We can end a meeting and the very next day something will change. So before you ever hang your hat on the legal from California School Board Association, they check and recheck, as Dr. Solly knows.
Like budget.
It changes hourly.
Okay, any other comments about this item? All right. I think that's Board Advisory Committee reports then. None at this time. Superintendent's report. Uh-oh.
I'm just gonna say
Okay.
both, we attended Joe Cerna's, our meeting. Unless you wanna,
Joe Stern Advisory Committee.
go ahead.
They talked about.
It was wrap up basically.
It was a wrap up.
End of the year, they went over LCAP and some additional money and how they're gonna be moving forward. So we were both in attendance. The next one is in May? 2 weeks?
I don't have my calendar here, but it's in May. And part of the problem was trying to get more and more parents involved.
Yes.
We talked about strategies
And how to build their Spanish program.
I know.
Oh, good.
And the transition to the Spanish middle school program to the high school program.
So there we are.
Here we are.
Okay.
They're getting new fields.
Any other? Okay, so we're down to comments from board.
Can I do my superintendent's
Oh, yeah,
comments?
forgot.
Mrs. McFarland cuts me off, and then I now miss my spot, huh? No. I am hoping that board members are going to be bringing up the art show and some of the great things that we're seeing. I know I saw that there. So I do want to highlight, it was in a previous board meeting, it was not the appropriate time to bring Tokay's mariachi band. But I do want to highlight that Tokay has had an incredible year. And so congratulations to the members of the Tokay Royal Regiment Band who competed at the Livingston Band Review, Livingston High School in Livingston, I guess that was redundant, on Saturday the 4th. The band won first place in Parade Band, Class 2A, second place, Maestrum Major, by senior, and I apologize if I say his first name wrong, or her name wrong, Barrick Hernandez. Second place, color guard, and first place, concert band, Class 3A. The Royal Regiment broke a record high marching score with a 188 out of 200, and the Symphonic Band broke another concert record with a score of 94.9. The band has had an undefeated year and has won first place at every marching competition held in 23-24. So that's pretty amazing, and so we're going to bring the entire marching band to the next board. No, I'm kidding. But we should note the success that they have had. I also want to take a moment on behalf of my wife Shelby and I to thank the wonderful teachers who have guided our children in their education. For my daughter Anna, Woodbridge has been a great place to call home. To Mrs. Traverso, Mrs. Alvarez, Mrs. Schatz, Mrs. Barth, Mrs. Vallejo, Mrs. Willis, and Mrs. Bechtel, I am so thankful for the role you played in Anna's education. Anna will forever be a river otter. And for my son Joshua, these last 4 years at Tokay High have been quite remarkable. And although I have fond memories of now retired Madame Funge teaching French on Zoom, each teacher along the way has helped put together the puzzle and helped him flourish. And although I won't name every teacher from all 4 years, I do want to say thank you to his current teachers, Mrs. Hensel, Mr. Johnson, twice, Mr. Nima, and Mrs. Villarreal for using the life skill of perseverance as acute senioritis has set in. Yeah. I truly appreciate all of them. And to all our teachers across this vastly diverse district, my story is but one of 27,000. So thank you for everything you do to teach our children. Even if you don't hear it from every family, you really are appreciated. I have nothing further.
Okay, any board comments?
I'll start. I have a lot of wonderful art that, first and foremost, Valerie McPhee and Michelle Armstrong, both just, you said it was going to be transformed in here, and it was like a whole different, I felt like I was in a gallery in New York walking through, and it was spectacular. So thank you. And just, if you don't get a chance to get one of these programs, I just perused, I gave it to my daughter to look through, and she was amazed too. So the talented artists. We saw the gold dust or bust from Mrs. Grayhorn's class at Elkhorn, and then I saw a former student participating in the lead in cabaret, and then they asked me to MC again the music festival at Tokay, where all of the theater schools that go into Tokay, and to see the elementary schools and then the middle schools and the visual and performing arts. I was inundated in the week of spectacular, and it just re-energized and refocused. And for the teachers that are the music teachers that put that together, wow, just wow, I can't say enough. I don't know why they asked me back. Public speaking is not my forte, but hey, it was amazing because I had students who brought their kids up to me who were singing, and that was amazing. Teacher appreciation, I hope everybody gets appreciated one way or another between now and then. And then I have to acknowledge Mr. Stroh's birthday on Saturday, and hope that he gets appreciated a little bit. I know it's Mother's Day weekend and everything, but you know, celebrating you being born. So happy early birthday.
Okay, any other comments?
Right.
Yeah.
You can just go down the.
Okay.
Well, first of all, I want to thank all the award winners today. Something is happening in Lodi Unified School District, and something good is happening because of all, you can see all the actions. You can see that our superintendent here acknowledged some of the teachers that taught his children. Something is happening. I see signs of disrespect in the audience. I've never disrespected any teacher, and I was always respected wherever district I was, regardless of what the money situation is. But I want to mention that because I'm tired of watching the disrespect, and it kind of is getting to me because I'm very sensitive. Okay. Another thing that I want to mention is that I want to congratulate our superintendent's son, Joshua. just broke a record at Tokay, 14.6 in the pole vault. And if anybody wants to try the pole vault, try it. See what
Yeah, try
happens.
it.
Because it's very difficult. Congratulations to him, and I see he's put up for Athlete of the Week for Stockton record. Also, I would like to acknowledge actually my grandson, who is at Lodi High School. They had the TCAL match meeting 2 Mondays ago, or a Monday ago, and he shot a 74, 2 over par, best of all of them, and he was selected as the most valuable player in that tournament. Also, he is selected the most valuable player for his team, and he is at Lodi High School, A.J. Salvetti.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Can you beat him on the course though?
Oh, no, I can't even.
Mr. Porter, you had a comment?
Oh, you can go in order.
I could.
You don't want to?
I get to go next.
I think Mr.
Okay.
McFarland should go there.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr.
All right. I'll go with.
I just wanted to say thank you to all the teachers and parents that coach, all the wonderful students that we saw tonight. As a former Science Olympiad coach, and I would say gopher for Mrs. Heverly, you never looked her straight in the eye when you were doing science school because she would have a job for you. Mr. Heverly, you looked her straight in the eye one too many times. The hours that are put in are crazy when we talk about no stipends for them. There are stipends, but there's no amount of money for the joy that you get. It is time consuming for parents and staff, so thank you to all those who volunteer, because when I saw the students stand there, all I could think of was that deep breath, like you have a month or maybe a week to take a deep breath and then you start again for the next year. And while it kind of gets your juices going, it does bring back fond memories. My visits to sites this last month were lots of cancellations due to cough and asthma and allergies. So while my counterparts got to go see all kinds of fun things without me, I'm hoping to be back on the circuit next month. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, President Maxon. The art show was spectacular. I copy that ditto. It was wonderful. The ceramics, the paintings, the pictures, drawings, just everything was, I couldn't do it. It was very, very well put together. Thank you to Michelle and Valerie as well. And as always, Chelsea was there making sure it all gets recorded. We did the Elkhorn. Elkhorn always brings back nice memories for me. Both my kids attended Elkhorn, and it was good to be back amongst the teachers and amongst the kids. I do have a lot of teachers that I would like to thank. I will just say a few of them because the names just come on top of my head. There was Miss Largen and John Muir. She had such a great impact on my older one, who's now at UC Berkeley finishing 3rd year. Till today, she would come and tell me, I have never seen a child who writes like that. She made that impact on him. I will forever be grateful to Miss Largen for being my child's 6th grade teacher. She gave him a C because his table was dirty and he was in tears. Tears. But she said this will teach him to keep it clean, and it taught him to keep it clean till today. We had Mr. Klein at Elkhorn. What an impact on PE for my kids. I mean, we don't even think of sometimes PE for our children in schools. This teacher, he drives from Sacramento. I think he's been doing that for the last 30 years or so. These kids come out with biceps from Elkhorn, and there's these nerdy little kids with biceps, so he does a great job with them. There's Miss Avalon, she's at NCHS, and my younger one is constantly praising her for everything she does for them, so thank you to all of these teachers. I did have the opportunity today, last minute conversations, and I really am appreciative of the time Mr. Ward gave me this morning at Westwood Elementary School. If any of you don't know where Westwood is, it is one of the cutest little schools in Lodi Unified School District. It's on Morada and Wesleyan. It's Jensen and Mr. Ward. They met with me this morning. I really appreciate the time you gave me. Eye-opening for me. there is the time that teachers are given to do their teacher training and professional development. This impact will help these kindergartners, these few kindergartners that are in this teacher's classroom, who had kids meeting standards at 4% last year. Once the teacher got to do the training that they needed, the impact that they had, direct impact on our kids, was 65% increase. Simply because the teacher took time to learn more for the sake of their children. That is a really good accomplishment. I know you gave me all kinds of data to read and go through. I really appreciate it, but I don't want to take too much time. And one of the biggest impacts I think that you were showing me, Mr. Ward, and he's present here because he wanted to hear about it too. I asked for what is the change that happened in 2 years with teacher training. From 30% our kids are now reading better at 41%. That's the type of increase that happens within a year, a shift that happens in their improvement. And all this is because of dedication of the teachers and the admin that supports them. So I really do appreciate that. These little kids who will grow up to become citizens of our community will take with them these lessons that you give them. So thank you for everything you do.
Any comments? I'll keep mine kind of short and sweet. Just today I went and observed and actually participated in the Lodi Math Network over at Beckman. I was invited by one of the math intervention teachers named Jacinto, and she was real happy with working with the county office with our friend Lisa. Was coming over. She was here last year as a math coach. Now she's at the county office of ed and seeing the new ways to visualize and just helping the kids understand more math and helping me understand more math of the progression. They were going over fraction lessons, what the kids need to know for each year of fractions. Then I had to go and then they were going to try it out on kids that day. So it was for all the teachers, but it was the intervention teachers, Lodi coaches, and the working with the county ed coach. And so that was pretty interesting and eye-opening for me. And then another visit I did, I finally got to go to the early childhood education over at Lawrence. Talked to Lisa Lopez over there, and I'm Katie, and I'm dropping the last name. Forgot it, but just learning the differences between preschool and TK and Head Start and how they're funded and the amount of time each of the groups have. But what really was kind of neat after learning all, the nuts and bolts was watching the kids come in. They didn't have any downtime with the kids. The kids were learning to count as they came into the classroom. They're 3-year-olds and they're counting out their numbers as they come into the classroom and sit down. Then as they're getting out their toothbrush, because it was right after lunchtime, they're singing the ABCs. And then scientifically they're talking about the colors, because they're passing out the toothpaste very carefully, which I never thought about, a paper cup and twisting it. So it was kind of fun to learn that. I wouldn't have thought about, educating kids how to brush their teeth, but not everybody gets that at home or in the dentist's office. And, they don't. And so it was, and their school programs, you guys would all know, but they go to the homes quite a bit, and there's also parent education in there. So that was kind of neat for me. And then just real quick, the last thing, and student there, I'm blanking his name from Lodi High, I went to the Every 15 Minutes event, and I thought it was very powerful because I haven't seen one in years. And statistically, I was talking to the High Patrol officer afterward. It is working, and I know that from my generation, which is old to what my kids' generation is, they take a completely different outlook on drinking and driving. And I talked to a cop, the same High Patrolman, and he said Escalon, they used to have almost yearly deaths. They haven't had a death in Escalon, where they do the program every year, since 2004, so 19 years. And then I thought it was a national thing, and maybe even international, because a lot of things go over the border, but a friend of mine, he was the chief of police in Vancouver, retired, and I said, well, in the U.S. we call it every 15 minutes, and he had no idea what it was. This was just today, I ran into him, and I told him about the program, and he goes, that's great, that's necessary, because that's a huge problem in Vancouver too, Keeney, so alcohol related. So those are my little 3 things that.
Thank you. Support?
Okay, everybody was on a high note. I guess I'll be Courtney Downer. I looked at these, the ladies, Mr. Knack said it's good, the principal secretary, and she was kind enough, I didn't get her name, I apologize, kind enough to give us a handout, and then I looked at the job descriptions between a principal 2 and a principal 1, and they're the same. So that was interesting. And then I looked at summer school where they're showing principal 2s, but yet the job description's the same. So maybe Dr. Dostie could help me out on that. If they're the same job descriptions, shouldn't they be all 2s? So that's one question that I have, and and with summer school, why are they listing it as 2s? I don't understand all of that, and I get a little upset when I see that. The other one is Elm Street. We need to do a 2x2. I know that I received a notice that we are going to do a 2x2. It is a traffic nightmare for all the students when they get out of school, and we're just biding their time until somebody has a fatality or probably has. And lastly, I read to Heritage School, 4th graders, a couple of weeks ago, and it was Mrs. Coughlin's class, and I got all these thank you notes from the students. Now, I know that Mr. Young read to a class. Did he get thank you notes?
They were too busy reading the books I gave to the kids, so.
And then Mr. Stroh, did you get thank you notes? I'm just stroking my ego here a little bit. But anyway, a big concern is on the principal secretaries. And also, when one employee files a grievance, I think we should have a period of time where that gets answered, and it should be prompt, just for morale. Thank you.
Okay, well then I'll close it up with, first of all, yeah, the art show is, as always, was pretty amazing. And being very unartistic, I'm always amazed at what those kids can do. The other thing is I received from the County Office of Ed our report on the second interim budget report. I'm not sure if all you get that or not, but I want to put this in the minutes. We have completed our review of Lodi Unified School District's 23-24 second interim budget report and concur with the school district's filing of a positive certification. A positive certification states that based on the school district's financial status as the reporting period, the district will be able to meet its financial obligations for the current and subsequent 2 fiscal years. There you go. Additionally, we have the following comment. Although the district currently has unrestricted, undesignated reserves to meet the required minimum, the district is projecting to have unrestricted deficit spending in the 24-25, 25-26 fiscal years. We strongly caution the district to avoid multi-year commitments, that is ongoing costs that would impact the financial stability of the district. So there's always a restriction. There's always problems in this, something that as a board we just have to be aware of and be cognizant of. So with that, I'm looking, was there any other comments before we? I'm looking for a motion to get out of here.
Second.
There we go, we're done.